We will look into finding a non-customer, finding your non-customer. How can you find your non-customer? How can you get out there and reach them? What are the steps you should take? We will look more into that. Non-customer. Who is your non-customer? How do you define that?
Well, Jamie, let me just step back a bit. Just to say, in the whole blue ocean shift approach, there are 3 steps that are important to create a blue ocean shift. The first is you have to create a blue ocean perspective. So it's about a mindset shift. Because traditional strategic planning tells us that we need to go to our customers to find out what is happening. But that does not give you the picture of the total demand. The total demand are not just the people in your industry, but are the first-tier non-customers. These are the people who use your products or service just because they have to. And a better alternative comes and they hop off your boat. Then there's a second tier of non-customer, which are the people who are refusing to use your products. They probably have tried your product already or decide that your product does not make sense for them. For example, most of the businesses, largest percent of businesses are made of small businesses, and they did not find the credit card system very attractive.
Right.
Because it comes with a high fee for using it. And they were unable to negotiate any special rates because of their small volumes. But when other payment option came along, Square was one of them who came along and allow you to use your digital wallet to pay each other. And that created an opportunity for them. So they only use the credit card system because they had to. So the first tier, which they were refusing, only use because they have to. The second tier, they refuse to use your system. For example, if you're selling tiles and somebody chooses to go wooden floor, they may have thought. And then the third tier, which is the largest part of the market, are the unexplored. So the real story to find out where you are and to deepen your business lies with your non-customers, not your customers.
The topic for today is identifying, locating, planning, addressing, researching, sort of defining or undefining your non-customers.
That's the second tier, which has to do those who are refusing to use a service. They would have considered it, but choose against it. So it goes back to the value that you're offering. Are you just competing with somebody else? Because remember, the blue ocean is not about competing. It's about creating uncontested market space. And that's the difference. If you want to look alike, you want to imitate. You don't imitate. You innovate. You create. And this is what it's about. The second tier of non-customers are very important because these are the people who are looking at an alternative to what you're offering.
I think we with these customers and non-customers, the different tiers, I think it's important to manage the expectations of your non-customers. That's essentially how you manage the first tier.
Because there are 2 challenges with the workforce. One, as I said, is a mindset problem, and the next is a skill set problem. But the greatest hindrance was not in the skill set, it was in the mindset.
Right.
So the whole idea was to shift the mindset so you can impact the skill set. I don't know if I'm coming through.
No.
So there was a bigger market that was ignored by everyone.
The current system we have in place, and I think we should ring the bell. Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
Our current education system, something we want to unlearn, is more of a filtering system for societal norms than a system designed to best suit the marketplace. How do you think about that? I mean, how do you kind of think, how do you think we should change, and what are the adjustments you think we should make?
Very good, Jamie. And it has to do with the angle from which we approach education. We are still teaching knowledge because universities back in the days were created to actually provide knowledge for people because knowledge was limited. You had to go to seek it. But today we have a plethora of platforms, Google, YouTube, all these platforms where knowledge are there in abundance. Yet we are still going to school to gain knowledge. We have to shift that. So it's about moving the needle. You don't look at where in other words, where your start was in the schools. But where we need to start now is the workplace. Let's work backwards from the workplace.
I am proposing that fourth shift that is on us now is the movement that is being caused by AI.
Yes.
And artificial intelligence and that whole robotics industry. Now, if it is that we were needed to collaborate and work together and sort of build teams and all that stuff, sort of where we are now, or where we think we are now, but we're not qualified for. I am going to argue that knowledge will become redundant completely. What will make the difference in the future and in the immediate future is your ability to ask questions. Because everybody will know the answer to everything. The difference would be who asked the better questions.
And you're correct. Because the current education system, Jamie, teach you to spot the answers. But where we are now, as you said, in the fourth shift, is not about the answers, about the questions. Because the answers are easy. You can go to ChatGPT.
Right.
Say, write an essay for me.
What are great questions? How would you define great questions?
Well, great questions are questions that do not lead to multiple choice.
Interesting way of framing it. I mean, it's. I have a very similar answer. Great questions are questions that lead to more questions.
That's correct.
But not a defined answer, but more questions that open your perspective. A great question should act as a shift in perspective.
That's correct. Because the current system, we're trained to ask questions that lead to an answer. But you should ask questions that lead to a bigger question. And that's what a great question do. You bite a piece, it leads you to more pieces. You bite a piece, it leads you to more pieces. And you have to see it in layers and to be patient enough to go through the layers. And then while you go through the questioning, maybe you start to unravel some patterns. But the patterns are also in layers. Then you break it down, like how do you write a computer program? You have to use codes. And you have to be logical. You have to go through the codes one step at a time. But the difference now, the complex situation, they're not linear. So you don't go through to ask a question going to lead to what next along the way. You have to ask questions that leave you in a position that you have to pivot sometimes. When you reach 9 questions, maybe all the first 8 don't make any sense. Are we prepared to see that?
What a place to end this, Dr. Pinnock. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for being with us. Here on the UnLearn Show, we hope you have created a new memory. Final word, Dr. Pinnock.
Well, the final word is start at the end, not at the beginning. In other words, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. And the end has to be value for your non-customers. Don't look at what's happening now, where the best things are. Look at where things can become better and greater for others not being served. Thank you.
Well said. Wonderful. Thank you, sir.